There's a crying baby in the
All
background.
right, here we are. My name is Angela Brown, and my business is DoulaLove'sCreation. Hello, everyone. We just wanted to come on and share with you about virtual doula or no doula at a birth. Because of all of this COVID-19 that's going on, was very deeply moved to do this video. And these are my wonderful clients, Anita and Craig, and they're going to talk in a little bit. But I just wanted to really want to give some information to pregnant moms out there and for couples so that you can really have clear information. And they're going to share with you their firsthand experience with having a virtual doula. All right, so let's get started. And why don't you guys start with this, just telling us if it's your first baby, why you, first let me just say this, everyone. I'm gonna let them talk a little bit about their experience being pregnant during COVID. And here's the really important key. We went on, in California, we went on lockdown or quarantine around March 15th, somewhere around there. Anita's guest date, in Hypno Babies we say guest date. Anita's guest date was April 2nd. Well, Anita went into her birthing time 1 week after everything got locked down. So I'll let her start and Craig will start and they'll share with you, just say if it's your first child, what your birthing intention and goal was, why you decided to have a doula. So just kind of start there and we'll just flow. Okay?
Sounds good. So yeah, we ended up having Bodhi on March 28th, which was a little earlier than the guest date. And my intention originally was to have a non-medicated birth, but that's an intention, and things happen which change, right?
Right.
So it was really, for me, I had a really long labor, so it took about 40 plus hours to get Bodhi out. And a lot, like about 15 hours of the labor was at least was at home, and about 8 hours was with Angela, with and that was really helpful for me to be at home laboring, before I went to the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
because at the hospital I was there for a long time after that. So, and I ended up having to get an epidural and everything, but things happen. But it was really helpful, for us to have that time at home,
Mm-hmm.
because my the hospital wouldn't even take anyone before 6 centimeters dilation, and when I got to the hospital I was exactly 6 centimeters dilated. So it really worked out well that I did end up at home, and
Mm-hmm.
Angela was there helping me for 7 hours at home, in the middle of the night from like 11 to 6 a.m. We were like laboring together.
Yes, the
And
three of us, we were.
yeah. So for me, that support before going to the hospital was amazing. And then at the hospital too, I was able to have Angela on FaceTime and giving me tips on how to change the position, and like talking me through things through the whole process. So that was extremely helpful. But also, it wasn't that I didn't know that stuff. I just learned that at the time. I also had the coaching sessions with Angela, which really helped too, to just
So
have
she's,
the right mindset.
excuse me, Amber, she's speaking about the pregnancy life coaching sessions that I offer my clients. But I want to interrupt you for 1 sec because I want to give a little, uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
some really good information in here. So when Anita hired me, when her and Craig hired me, I think it was back in maybe February, January, something like that,
Definitely. Yeah.
January, February. And there was none of this going on. So I was going to be physically present
Yeah.
at their birth the entire time. And one of the things I do with the pregnancy life coaching sessions is help prepare moms to be present in the moment. And if, because birth can be unpredictable and it can veer this way, you can be going towards your goal. I'm going for natural birth. And she was completely committed to a natural birth and going. And then things started curving this way. And so she had to turn her attention that way, especially when the COVID information started happening. So I just want to say, and also we talk about in hypnobabies, we talk about our birthing time. We don't always use the word labor. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Oh yeah.
So I know.
It's been a minute.
But your baby's like 2 months now. So it's like, oh, that's right. I forget my terminology. So I just want to say the acknowledgement, and I've acknowledged the two of you personally about this. When I was with them, because I, as a doula, and now we are, many doulas are now virtual doulas because we're not able to go to the hospital. When Anita and Craig were in their birthing time, what she had was a prodromal birthing. So the early part of her birth took a very long time. She thought she was in her birthing time on Wednesday, and then she didn't really sleep Wednesday night, and so so that she was trying to catch up on her rest. And then she actually went. When did you go into your birthing time? On Thursday morning?
No, Wednesday night. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Wednesday night it started, and then Thursday morning I went to the hospital around 6:30 in the morning.
Okay. So, okay. Because so that I had it a bit wrong. So because she had that prodromal, that longer part of her birthing, when I got to her, she was really in a deep hypnotic state. A deep hypnotic state, and you were just really navigating through your birth so beautifully. And so I was at their home about 7.5 hours or something like that. And I knew that I needed to get them as close to transition. That's what the term says. But in hypnobabies, we call it transformation. And that's the last 7 to 10 centimeters. So they were doing great. So Craig, what do you want to share about, and this is your first baby, Bodhi's your first baby, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
our first baby, our first little blessing. So we had started by taking a Bradley course, which was like super good information. We learned a lot, but for this particular course, we didn't do a lot of hands-on stuff. So then Anita started researching hypnobabies, and she liked that it was a more active kind of practice with the breathing and the hypnosis. So that's when we found Angela, which was super awesome. And one of the best things about it, working with Angela, is she brought us in for like a rehearsal or training, and it was really hands-on, and it lasted like 2-3 hours. So we really felt like we got to practice and get coached on a lot of different positions, a lot of different situations. And Angela's like super expert, and she's really funny too.
Thank you, Craig.
But no, seriously, she got us like whipped into shape on what to do, and a lot of our fear went away.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of fear about what to do physically in these situations that the Bradley course didn't cover. So it's like she taught us that adage, like teach someone to fish, like don't give them fish. So she really taught us how to fish. So then by the time we had the last 7-8 hours with her at home, we practiced again, all that stuff. And then by the time we're in the hospital, we had the basics.
Yeah.
And then she was on the video, and she could just give us like the expert, like, okay, you got the basic, now do this.
Yeah.
And now do that. So it was really, I don't want to say seamless just because it's so crazy an event, but it felt like it really worked, going from like time with Angela to virtual time with Angela. And then we just moved her all around. Like as we moved around the hospital room, she was in the bathroom with us.
You moved me around. This is the phone. This is Craig doing this. Wherever he moved his woman, wherever he moved Anita, I went to. So I never felt like I was not a part of the birth. Literally, he was like, okay, Angela, I'm going to put you up here. He was putting the phone up everywhere. And it was just funny. He would set it up perfectly. So I always saw Anita, always saw the position. And I would say, Craig, I want you to try this position. And he would remember based on the birth rehearsal, which was so key. And one of the times what you said, I was being funny, Anita, there's a position that I like women to do during their birthing time, which is sit on the toilet with their feet propped up and things like that. So Anita was in the zone. So Craig had propped the phone up, and so I could see Anita, and he was sitting behind her. You know, she's facing the other way on the toilet, and he's just right there with her, massaging her. And then the phone falls on the ground, and I go, "Ouch! You hit my head!" You know, so moments like that. Now Anita can't hear us having these jokes because she has her headset listening to Hypnobabies tracks. And so we had moments like that where it was light, and then I remember one point, you moved Anita from the toilet to, you remember this, to the bedroom, back to the
Oh
room,
yeah.
and the nurse was helping, and I was still in the bathroom on the floor, the phone was, and I said, hello, is anyone gonna come get me in here? And then Craig and the nurse starts laughing. Once again, Anita's not aware that I'm cracking jokes, that Craig had left me on the bathroom floor. So it was that kind of, we had moments of joy and laughter, and Anita was getting tired. But I want to go back a bit. I want to go back to when I got to your home. And I remember at one point I asked you, I said, how are you feeling? You're like, I'm just tired, I'm tired. And I said, well, what do you want to do? Like, I don't want, I remember you saying something like, I don't want the birth to stop. I want to keep going. I said, but how do you feel? I'm tired. And you would say it like, and I kept asking you, I said, well, she goes, I just want to lay down. I said, I think you should honor where you are. And then we all went to the bedroom. So as a doula, we all go to the bedroom together. And so Craig lays down. I said, Craig, just stay horizontal. And so I was on Anita's side, and she was turned toward Craig. So her back was to me. So whenever she had a birthing wave, I would massage her. And at some point, we were just in this rhythm doing this. She would have a wave. And how we knew she was having a birthing wave, she would just start, no. Craig would kind of come to, I would start massaging. And then at one point, they both said almost simultaneously, oh my God, Angela. You remember what you said? They don't know. Y'all, they sleep. They don't know.
Wow.
They said, oh my God, we're so glad you're here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes for the whole
Yeah,
adventure with you.
but that moment, because I hear you guys are in your intimate bedroom and I'm like right
Yeah.
behind you. I'm sitting in a chair and I'm massaging Anita.
Yeah.
And when she wouldn't have literally, people, America, wherever this video is going to be viewed, literally in between birthing waves, this would be all three of us.
Yeah.
We would knock out, and Anita, I mean, we would literally go to sleep. I was literally falling asleep. Craig, did you go to sleep?
Yeah, you coached us. Take the mini nap when it comes, man.
I mean, literally, the birthing waves were coming like every 5 minutes. So at this point, she's in deep hypnosis to navigate through the waves. And she had her tracks on, she was listening, and boy, she'd have a birth wave, and we'd start massaging. And then when the birth wave would go, we would go, oh, we would just drop down, all of us, and fall asleep for those 4 to 5 minutes. And then I knew that at some point, the pressure would become so intense, she would have to get up. But in that time, we lay down. I mean, no one's used to being up at like 3, 4 in the morning, So she said, I think I want to go to the hospital. And then I had to stay. It was just, that was my first official virtual birth. This is why I wanted to interview them. I had to let them go to the hospital. And Craig, tell us what happened.
Oh yeah, so we get to the hospital, and Anita's it's a 30-minute drive. She's having pretty intense waves in the car at this point. And we get there, and the entrance you have to go through is through the emergency room. So of course they're all set up for COVID, people with masks, and we get to the door with all our stuff, and they said, you can't come in, and point at me and said only she can come in, and you can only come up if she's decided that she's far enough along with the dilation. So then I had to stand outside with all our stuff. They were super nice. The nurses were super nice. Everyone was super nice. But I stood out there for like 45 minutes just wondering if I was going to be able to go up and see Anita's.
And at the same time, he saw a couple who got turned away, and they had to go back home because they weren't dilated enough. Which would have been so stressful if that happened to me, because it was so intense at the time. I'm like, I would just stand outside that hospital. I wasn't gonna go back home.
But so that was your experience, and I'm going to jump in here for a moment. Then Anita, we want to know what you felt when they said that to him. So Craig calls me. I had just gotten home from driving from their house, and he tells me this. Now, I had already called the hospital earlier that day, like the previous day, making sure that they check in, blah, 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 blah. So, and that the partners could come in. So this new thing, he tells me, oh, they won't let them in. Now, remember everyone, pregnant mamas, this was in March. So hopefully things will be different now. I don't know, but you just have to know your own area. But I called, and so this was a new thing that they had introduced, and I'm like, they're not let you, you're not, and I was freaking out, upset, but I just maintained my calm when I was talking to Craig. But I thought, I can't believe they did that. They didn't let him in. But then he explained to me they were going to come get him. And I thought, Lord, let Anita be further along. Because hypnobabies moms don't look like they are in active birthing. They may feel that, but that's not what they're displaying. So Anita, did they put you in a wheelchair, Anita? I think.
Yeah, they did put me in a wheelchair, which I kind of said I want to walk, and then he said that's going to take a really long time. So I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's pretty far from where you were, and you saw that, right?
Yeah, I did see that.
You remember what I told you about the wheelchair and what to do? You remember that? Anita doesn't.
No.
Okay. Like I said, Mom, everyone, she's 2 months into this being a mom.
Yeah.
So
2 months
I'll remind you. I said, if they put you in a wheelchair, just know that at any time you have a birthing wave, what did I tell you? You could tell them to
stand up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because just because they're pushing, if it's more uncomfortable to have a birth wave while you're sitting, so this lets moms know that you have the empowerment, the power. Say, look, stop this wheelchair. I got to get up.
Yeah.
And but you didn't have to do that because you said he was going at the speed of light, trying to.
He was going fast. He got me there really fast. And when I was in the room, I was just standing basically most of the time.
So when you heard the nurses say, okay, we're not letting your husband up, what did you feel in that moment as you're experiencing all of that pressure and intensity of Bodhi coming down?
They didn't position it like in those words. They were just like, oh yeah, it's going to take a minute for him to come up. We need to check your dilation. They didn't say, oh, we're not letting him come up if you're not 6 centimeters dilated. So I didn't know that.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So only he knew that. If I knew that, I would have probably freaked out a little bit more. And they're like, oh, perfect. You're 6 centimeters dilated. Your husband's going to come up now. And I'm like, that was 45 minutes later, he came up. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, fine, whatever. So, and I just went with it because I was just so focused on just, they were like, you should lie down on the bed. I'm like, no, I'm standing. So I was just moving around the room till he came
And so
in.
when you were standing, did they have the external fetal monitor around your belly?
No, I mean,
they hadn't set it up yet.
They hadn't, I think they just initially just took the
Doppler, they just checked the baby's heart rate and then they moved it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So and then the midwife came in and also said, I think the other thing was they were going to give me Pitocin, which was again like the hospital policy was to induce you, and then the midwife came in and said, no, that's the whole point of her being part of the midwife group, is they don't have to do the things the hospital group does. They're like, well, this is the new rule for COVID. She's like, no. So she just came in.
Really? I don't remember you telling me this part, or maybe I forgot now. So a nurse had come in.
Craig wasn't up there then, so it was happening before Craig came in.
In fact, this is the first time I'm hearing this part.
Yeah.
So.
See, everybody, she was just in that moment. So Craig and I are both now. We're like, wait a minute, I don't remember them saying that to you. But now that
Leo came in and shut it down. So I was
Leo.
like, yeah, Leo, tell them.
Leo and Angela, the dynamic duo.
So, and here's the thing. So pregnant mamas everywhere, when you're fully educated, just like Anita, here she is up in this birthing room by herself without her man for a moment, without me as her doula. But the education she got was so thorough and so clear, and she had her voice. So she was like, Pitocin, wait, what? She knew to stand up. They said, oh, maybe you should lay down. She's like, no, I'm not laying down. So here's the thing. Some moms think they have to get in the bed and be on the fetal monitor, all these things. But here's the thing. It's your particular individual circumstance and how you educate yourself. And so I think Anita and Craig really did a great job, because when I asked Anita, how did you feel when Craig left you and you had to go upstairs? And you said to me, Angela, I was just so internal at that moment. Okay, he'll come join me later. So here's the point I want to make. For the average person who's not educated well on childbirth, or doesn't feel empowered, that situation could have freaked a regular mom out who, why are you taking me, why can't my husband come up? Why can't my partner come up? Blah, blah, blah. Anita was like this. Okay, well, and I talked about a lot in our pregnancy life coaching sessions, being able to move with the flow. Even if you don't like what is, you want to be able to flow in the direction of, okay, I don't like it. I want to go here. And they've now, COVID's got me turning, making all kind of plans. And now they're telling me my husband can't come up, during my early phase of birth, or they're trying to determine how dilated I am. And I have to say, as a couple, they were so committed to their birth intention and to each other and to their son. They did so well with all this unexpected stuff. Now, when Craig called me about saying they weren't letting him up, he was calmer than me, I must say. He was like, well, Angela, I'm like, well, Craig, get away from the people. Are there a lot of people in the ER? It's like, get away from the people. And didn't you go in a corner or something?
Oh, no, they wouldn't. They kept me outside. They don't let you in. Like, they didn't let you in. So you had to stand like outside the hospital.
Oh,
And then
okay. So
they have someone who comes out to you, and they have the mask and the shield, and they talk to you.
okay. So I didn't get that full part before, probably because I was like, all right. What else was I going to say? So, Anita, anything else you want to share about your experience? Or you, Craig? Like, what is it? Would you choose virtual doula or no doula? What would be your preference if you would suggest to the moms around the world if they have doulas where they are, or definitely the women in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think having you there was life changing. It would have been so much more, like, just all that knowledge and all that coaching you had given us set us up so well. And even just that 7 hours right before, where you were changing positions, helping me change into this position and that position, massaging and all that stuff helped so much to even get through those 7 hours, which were also very intense.
Mm-hmm.
So and then it was also intense at the hospital. But then you were giving, Craig kind of saw you do a bunch of stuff at home, reminding from the previous coaching session which you had done with the rehearsal. It was kind of like a reminder of,
Yeah.
this is the way I want you to do this. And so he was prepared, even more prepared to coach me at the time at
Yes.
the birth. So that was really helpful.
Yeah.
And then, and you were still like on the phone, even when people were suggesting like, oh, maybe we should ask her if she wants an epidural. And you were still going like, let her make that decision. Let her make the call. Don't like push anything on her and all
That's
that
right.
kind of stuff. So that was really helpful too. Because at the end, I did end up, getting an epidural, and it was more for, I just wanted a nap. And I had just back to back waves. I couldn't even lie down because they were so intense. So I just wanted to take a nap so that I could recover and then do the rest of the birth, because I was 9 centimeters dilated and effaced, but then I had this cervical lip complication or whatever. So
Oh, I'm glad you're bringing this part up. So let me just say to the audience right now, the people watching. So when she got to the hospital, she was 6 centimeters and 100% thinned out, right? You were 100%
yeah.
effaced. So I thought, oh,
Mhm.
great. She is there. She's got 4 centimeters to go. We are going to be, baby, going to be popping. Hey, well, birth has its things. So because she had been up the day before, she had been napping and things, but still wasn't enough rest. And she's eating. We're giving her food at home. I mean, we are putting food in this child's mouth, avocado, berries. I'm just here. Eat this.
Yeah.
Just eat. I'm giving her all that she could handle and take in. And so because her birthing time was so long, and she kept saying, I just want to sleep. I want to sleep. Now, me and the nurse, I'm picking up intuitively. I know she's going to eventually get this epidural because she's been awake so long. But she was still in this deep hypnotic state, but she was exhausted. And we knew that you were going to need to get rest in order to push. But I had to wait for Anita to get to that place, that point of clarity of saying, okay, that's it. I want it. So it took about 3 times or something before she's like, okay, I'm going to do it. But it was over some hours. Now, I want to say to everyone, whoever's watching, once everyone got settled in the hospital, and the two of them got settled, and then Craig called me, I was on the phone as my virtual self, bless you, Doug, for what, 11 hours? 11 hours straight. So
Yeah.
I was at a birth for 18 hours total.
Yeah.
And literally sitting on the phone, my head was going sideways. We were all at this point, just, Anita was in the bed on all fours. Craig was resting his head down on the mattress and a pillow. And once again, she would have a birth wave and Craig would start rubbing on her. But I just want to say, you were 9.5 centimeters because you had a little lip. So what was going on there, so people understand, and it was a little tough because there was tension now. So because they wanted to move it out of the way, and they were trying, and it wasn't moving. That's exhaustion, everyone. She was so exhausted. And yeah, so I tell Anita, you would have had a natural birth. How long was your birthing time total? So everyone who's hearing this, moms,
Maybe like,
this is, before you say it, everyone, before you hear what she says, know that this does not have to be your journey. Please do not make her journey your journey. Okay? So go ahead and tell them what your.
it was about 40 hours,
Oh,
just like about
moms,
over
take a
2
breath.
days,
Everybody breathe.
you know.
Say it again.
But it was funny because I remember time so differently from the way Craig remembers it. Because I was like, oh, it really was like this long. And Craig's like, no, that took this long. And I'm like, I wasn't focused on the time at all.
Right.
Like, even though I could see the time, I wasn't thinking about it. I was just kind of doing, right? So,
Right.
and I think that was all the hypno babies, affirmations, and all that stuff where they're like, 20 minutes feels like 5 minutes. So I had no sense of time. I was just there, I wasn't like, oh, it's been 40 hours now. I just remember being tired more than the number of
Right.
hours.
Right.
So it was definitely helpful. That part where time didn't exist and it was just
That's
kind of like,
being in the present moment. And
yeah.
I said to you, had you not had that prodromal part of your birthing,
Yeah.
I believe that Anita would have had a natural birth because she was right there. But when they would check her, she would stayed at the same. And what we were concerned about, at this point, you have to make a wise decision and say, okay, are we going to just let her go and then she won't have the energy to push and she ends up in the OR? Or does she have an opportunity now to get an epidural, which will support her? And so at this point, when a woman gets an epidural, it is always my prayer. I do a prayer inside my own spirit. Dear God, please allow the receiving of this epidural to be supportive for mom and for baby, and that this baby has no reaction, and that that mom and baby flow very well with this epidural, and it flowed very well, and you had your vaginal birth.
Yeah, and the amazing thing for the epidural for me, I don't know, how it is in general, but for me was I could feel my legs, which in my head, again, I thought epidural, I wouldn't be able to feel any of the bottom half of my body. And I don't know what the anesthesiologist did, but had full function of my legs. So I could switch positions and change
Yes.
as I was birthing, which was extremely useful for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
because
you did.
changed, I changed positions a lot too.
And you got some good sleep.
Yeah,
And you were
I
ready
got
to put.
amazing sleep. I mean, it was.
But it was scary just for the dads or other partners
Oh,
out
that's
there.
right.
Like I talked to Angela and she warned me like she's gonna get shaky, and she was like in bed like twitching and shaking and she couldn't speak correctly. So I was actually terrified because I hadn't seen Anita like that, and I'm like really worried about her. But Angela told me like that's what's gonna happen. It's okay.
Yeah.
So that took a lot of fear away, even though it was still scary watching her like that. But then she did get some sleep.
Yeah, part of my goal is always to prep the partners and husbands when if something is being introduced, so they'll know what's coming, so they're not freaking out. But like you said, because you'd never seen her that way, it did still freak you out a bit. And so I said, Anita, you may start shaking. Just shake. Your body will eventually calm down, but don't try to resist the shaking. That's sometimes one of the side effects of an epidural. Sometimes a mom will throw up a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did
There
that.
was a lot of throw up.
I did a lot.
Right. And so that's also that transformation phase, which is known as the transition phase
Yeah.
as well. And so, but you guys, you flowed so well and so beautifully, and I was so happy. And once you got there, then I got off. I think we got off the phone,
Yeah.
and then everyone went to sleep. And then I woke up. I'm like, nobody's called me. So say what you said to her, Craig. Like when you were getting ready to push. They don't remember, Lord.
I don't
Okay.
remember. We were so tired.
He said, should I call Angela? And then Anita had my back.
Yeah.
And she said, no, let her sleep. Let her sleep. You don't need to call Angela, let her sleep. So I missed the actual birthing of the baby but I just want to say kudos because we were all exhausted. I put in 18 hours and I know you put in much more than that. But
Yeah,
I
and
was,
I think I was just like, oh, I know what to do now. Like
yes.
I'm like, it was kind of like we had done so many positions and changing and this and that. By that time, I knew what level of comfort I had with different positions. Some of them did not work for me at all, and some of them worked well. So I just like put the pillow here and I'll sit like this and I'll do this. And, it was
She was
like,
doing
and I
that?
could feel my legs. So I could do all of those things. So I'm like, I can do all the original positions too. So it just,
Oh,
worked really well. So,
And we had Leo. Shout outs
yeah,
to Leo, our midwife. She was incredible too.
yeah.
So
She
like
yeah.
was,
Shout
Angela and
out to
Leo
Leo.
were like a awesome
yeah,
team. Had similar mindset.
Yeah,
yeah,
and I had not met her because that would have been the first time I would have worked
yeah.
with her, but I didn't get a chance to meet her. And she's with which who is she with?
The Laguna Beach OBGYN or Orange Coast now,
Okay,
but
so
part of Mission
Dr.
Hospital.
Kenneth James down at Mission Hospital
Yeah,
in Mission Viejo.
yeah,
So she's
Yeah.
with Dr. Kenneth James. So we're giving kudos to Dr. James and his midwives. Oh my God, we love them so much. I miss all of you.
awesome.
I miss all of you. We've got Mike much love right now because I'm
Yeah.
missing, seeing
I
their
think
faces.
I think the outcome would have been different if Leo wasn't there also,
Yeah.
because she was definitely advocating for whatever what I wanted, and I've a couple of times there was tension between her and the nurse, and she
Mhm.
was kind of like, yeah, we're gonna do this. This is what we're gonna do. So
And so here's the thing. So I'm glad you brought that point up. So pregnant mamas around the world, always honoring yourself. Please don't feel like you have to be bullied or not. I don't want to suggest that you be necessarily being bullied, but be clear about your intention.
yeah,
And just like Anita and Craig wanted this natural birth and it had to veer and she ended up having to get the epidural and she did so with ease and grace. Now, know your own mind. Know your own mind, mamas. Get a good childbirth education course. One that will empower you. One that will empower you. So that you feel like, okay, I have a voice. You don't have to be frightened if a nurse or somebody suggests something. You can always have a moment to like, you know what? No, that doesn't feel right for me.
Yeah.
Now, at any time, we're always advocating for healthy baby, healthy mama.
yeah,
We're not, so at no time was Bodhi ever in jeopardy or Anita.
yeah,
Else, I mean, if that showed up, it would have been like, okay, we're gonna get this epidural so she can
yeah,
get the rest or whatever.
yeah,
So that's not what this was. This was about her doing her best so that when she chose the epidural, she did so
yeah,
from a place of clarity
yeah,
and her own power and not feeling like she was manipulated or pushed into
yeah.
it, which is what we
Yeah.
want. We want women to have empowered births. Okay?
And I think the nurses were amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
They are
nurses were
great.
they
amazing.
were really sweet and helpful, and they were coming
Patient.
from a place of, oh, we want to help Anita, she's been doing this for hours, like, oh,
Yeah.
let's suggest doing this, it'll
Yeah.
speed things up, right? Like, they're not coming from like, oh, we want to give her an epidural. It's not like that, right? So
Right.
everyone's coming from a place of like wanting to help, kind of, make it happen, right? So
It was like she was doing the postures and pushing for like over 20 hours.
yeah.
So it's like taking 20 hot yoga classes in a row. I mean, like it was insane. The warrior over here. So
But
like,
that's childbirth is like, you're an Olympic athlete. You
yeah,
are in it.
yeah.
And when you are educated and feel empowered, you approach it from a different consciousness.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Were you how was your fear level before you hired me? and did hypnobabies, like, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest level of your fear, if it was, you know, or uncertainty
I think
around
I was
birth.
at
Wait, don't say it. I'll write it down.
Oh.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your number?
7.
Before?
Yeah.
That's the before number?
Yeah, it's a before number.
Oh, okay. So she
And
said
what
her
was,
fear was at a 7.
okay, so you were, your fear level before education and hiring me was a 7. And when you went into your birthing time, what was your
I
level?
was probably at like 1, 2, around there.
Yeah.
I mean, just not knowing. Like,
Yeah.
it's like one of those experiences, like you experience it and then you know, right? So, so
It's a 1, it's a 7. Is that your final
yeah,
answer? That's your final answer.
yeah,
And I would have to say, as your birth coach and your counselor, that you did. I saw that shift in you, just this
yeah,
calm that came over you. And because I think the attribute that I really appreciated about the two of you was that you've been meditators for years, transcendental meditation. You were doing that for years. So when I would share things with you, you were like, oh, and so you already had that ability to go to a place of calm if you felt frazzled or, you know, yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's see. Anything else you want to add? I want to look at my notes, make sure I covered everything.
Should we grab Bodhi? He was just yelling.
Yes, I do want to see Bodhi. The world wants to see Bodhi. Go get
All
him.
right. Yeah, I heard he might have just been screaming, but let's go. Let's go see
No,
what he's
even
doing.
if, look, this is real life. He's screaming, then mama's got to they got to understand that this is what happens. That this is why we didn't do it live. First of all, I didn't know how to do it live. So let's just tell the truth. Thank you for doing this interview with us today, because I think hopefully it's going to help and touch so many women and couples
Yeah,
around the world that get a virtual doula. If you're not able to have your doula at the hospital, it's
yeah,
always so
yeah.
so helpful.
Oh, here's Mr. Bodhi.
Hi.
Here's the
Hi.
guy
Hi.
that took a good amount
Hi,
of
hi,
time
hi.
to come out.
Hi.
Bodo.
Bodo.
Oh no, what's happening here, Bobo? Look, it's Angela.
Hi, sweetheart.
Bodo? Hi.
He's so cute. Well, it was so great. Look at that sweet face. So my postpartum visit with them was on their front porch with me being like 12 feet away, looking at him. What was he like a week old or 2 weeks old or something like
Yeah,
that
he's
when
just
I
a
came
tiny
in?
little guy.
Look
Yeah.
at him. Hi,
Bodhi.
Bodhi. Oh, all right.
Bodhi. Yeah, that's
Oh,
Angela.
everyone,
She
thank
helped
you.
bring you into the world, little man.
Yay.
She helped bring you in.
I'm going to try to do a screenshot of this. So
He just woke up from his nap, so he's not smiley yet.
I think I'm going to end the video, but I'm going to do the screenshot. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching. If you have any questions, I'm going to be posting this up on YouTube eventually. So thank you guys. So you guys stay on. Thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Hello. This is Angela. So this is a follow-up to the virtual doula versus no doula. And I wanted to talk about, because I know the clients mentioned something about they had initially taken the Bradley course, and then they ended up taking my Hypnobabies course. Now, I will say this. I think that there are many childbirth education courses out there that can support women wherever they want. There's Bradley, Lamaze, there's so many of the courses. I just happen to teach Hypnobabies. And one of the things that we talk about in Hypnobabies is that we suggest that you take only our course if you're going to go for a course, because we change the entire language of how we view birth. So I just want to acknowledge that Bradley in its own right, it's its own rightful course. I just happen to teach Hypnobabies is what I deeply believe in. So I really wanted to be clear with that. You find the childbirth education course that feels right for you, that feels best for you. The other point I wanted to make, just continue to just take a childbirth education course that empowers you. Something that empowers you, which is so important. And it's not just telling you all about the medical stuff that needs to be done. Also, I want to talk about it's important for you to come to understand hospital birth protocol. Understand the protocol so that you don't have to be in resistance to it when you go to the hospital, have your birth. Understand what protocol is, okay? And if you want to know more about that, feel free to contact me on my website. Please, if you like this video and the virtual doula versus no doula, please like, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, follow me on Facebook as well, and like and share. All right. Thank you so much for your time and for watching and for sharing this video. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I appreciate it.